Within the confines of your mind, an unseen storyteller is quietly crafting your perception of reality through whispers that only you can perceive. As one delves into these soothing insights about the inner voice, a gentle encouragement to like and subscribe arises, promising more tranquil evenings of knowledge. This phenomenon, known formally as silent whisper within, serves as a steadfast companion in the human experience, functioning as a continuous monologue that recounts the events of waking life. For many individuals, this voice is distinctly auditory, characterized by a particular tone, pace, and volume. Yet it produces no sound waves that can be captured by a microphone. It manifests as a phantom sound, a mere hallucination of hearing, entirely governed by one's own consciousness, residing within what scientists refer to as the mind's gentle echo loop. This internal loop enables the rehearsal of information, such as a phone number or a grocery list, maintaining the data in your working memory through quiet repetition. Though it may seem like a mere reflection of your thoughts, this voice represents a sophisticated imitation of the physical act of speaking, activating numerous brain regions that are also engaged when you speak aloud, particularly that special part deep in the left side of your brain called Broca's area, the quiet home where words first take shape before you ever speak them. In a secluded realm of expression, you embody both the voice and the audience, a duality that shapes your identity and guides you through the intricacies of existence, all without a single sound escaping into the atmosphere. This voice, unbound by the need for physical muscles or breath coordination, operates at a speed that far surpasses the capacity for spoken words. In conversations with others, one finds themselves constrained by the physical motions of the jaw, tongue, and lips, which typically restrict speech to about 150 words per minute. Yet, the inner voice remains free from these physical friction points, enabling it to surge forward at a speed that some researchers approximate to be around 4,000 words per minute in its distilled essence. The swift tempo is achievable since inner dialogue tends to be concise. It doesn't necessitate the complete grammatical framework of formal language, as the meaning is already understood. Skip connecting words, prepositions, formalities. Compress complex ideas into lightning-fast bursts of verbal thought. It represents a form of linguistic shorthand, a succinct expression articulated by psychologist Lev Vygotsky, where a solitary internal word encapsulates the significance and essence of an entire paragraph of external narrative, enabling the mind to navigate through life at a pace that the physical body can never truly keep up with. This swift internal narrator serves as the maestro of your mental symphony, playing an essential part in what psychologists refer to as executive function. In the absence of this quiet presence, the capacity to envision what lies ahead, regulate impulses, and tackle intricate challenges would be greatly reduced. As one contemplates the choice of attire for the day or devises a plan for a challenging discussion, a mental simulation unfolds, employing an inner voice to explore various possibilities. It acts as a temporary repository for your thoughts, allowing you to hold on to information as you work through it to uncover a solution. This explains why, when faced with a challenging task that demands intense focus, such as putting together furniture or tackling a math problem, one's inner dialogue tends to slow down and become more intentional, occasionally escaping as a soft whisper. By articulating the steps within, one anchors their attention to the current task, employing language to form a framework for thoughts that keeps focus from wandering into the chaotic whispers of the subconscious mind. Interestingly, even though this inner voice remains unheard by others, the body frequently responds as though words are being spoken. This phenomenon is referred to as that soft, hidden throat whisper, where your brain quietly talks to the tiny muscles in your throat and voice box, even when no sound comes out, prompting them to execute tiny movements that reflect the words being contemplated. The movements are minuscule, imperceptible to the senses, and unseen by the unaided eye. However, with the aid of sensitive electromyography equipment positioned on the throat, one can uncover the electrical activity that corresponds to the inner dialogue. During the 1,950 seconds, it was discovered by researchers that when individuals were prompted to silently recite a poem in their minds, their vocal cords would synchronize with the poem's rhythm. This implies that the act of thinking in words transcends mere mental abstraction, revealing itself as a repressed physical action. The body engages in a silent practice, readying itself to articulate the words, yet holding back the ultimate directive to release air through the vocal cords. It suggests that the distinction between thought and action is far more subtle than we tend to believe, and that each unspoken thought is, in a sense, a hidden physical act that your body conceals. Although this experience seems universal to those who encounter it, it is a captivating and relatively recent revelation that not everyone has an inner voice. A vast array of internal experiences exists, where certain individuals navigate a mind that is not innate, but developed and absorbed throughout their formative years. Developmental psychologists, especially those influenced by Vygotsky's theories, have noted that very young children lack an inner voice. Rather, they engage in those sweet, out-loud childhood murmurs when little ones speak every thought while playing or figuring things out. Observing a toddler reveals a fascinating tendency to articulate their actions, often expressing thoughts such as, "Now the car goes here," or "blue block on top." This represents the outer framework of contemplation. At approximately 7 years old, the external narration starts to diminish, retreating inward to transform into the quiet inner dialogue that characterizes our adult experience. It implies that our personal inner experiences are fundamentally shaped by social interactions. One learns to think by initially engaging in dialogue with others, and subsequently, that dialogue shifts inward. The voice that resonates within is, in numerous respects, the internal reflection of the caregivers and educators who guided your journey in language acquisition, a tapestry of external sounds, woven together to shape the essence of your personal identity. As the external world's demands diminish, particularly in moments like lying in bed awaiting sleep, the inner voice frequently takes center stage in one's consciousness, activated by the brain's soft drift of thoughts. This network of interacting brain regions activates when an individual is not engaged with the external environment, and it is closely connected to the narrative self. This serves as the biological foundation for daydreaming, mind-wandering, and self-reflection. In this state, the inner voice transcends its role as a mere problem-solving tool, evolving into a storyteller that intricately weaves together memories of the past, visions of the future, and imaginative scenarios. It can meander from a melody lingering in your mind, to a dialogue from years past, to a scheme for the breakfast of tomorrow. Though this wandering mind may occasionally rob us of sleep, it serves an essential purpose for consolidation, aiding the brain in weaving the day's experiences into the enduring tale of your identity, connecting the scattered moments of life into a unified, flowing narrative that resonates with your essence. To grasp the origin of this internal narrator, we must reflect on our initial experiences with language, not solely in communication with others, but also in our self-dialogue. Psychological researchers, particularly the Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky, suggested that our inner voice originates externally, emerging from interactions beyond our own bodies. That wise thinker Vygotsky once said, "Our private inner conversations are really just the soft echoes of words we first heard from others, reflecting the manner in which our caregivers communicated with us, and how we came to express ourselves in the world." As a young child engages in the task of solving a puzzle or tying their shoes, they frequently articulate the process aloud, expressing thoughts such as, "The red block goes here," or "Loop the bunny ears," reflecting the guidance they've absorbed from their parents. As time passes and the brain develops, this external narration is not discarded. Rather, it is internalized, intricately folded like a piece of origami. Eventually, the sound may cease, yet the linguistic framework endures, forming the quiet companion that resonates within you now. The process of internalization unfolds over time, gradually taking shape during a particular developmental window, usually between the ages of 3 and 7, a phase frequently characterized by developmental psychologists as the era of childhood out-loud whispers. As one observes children within this age range, it becomes evident that their self-talk experiences a captivating evolution. It transitions from the loudness of shouting to the subtler tones of conversation, then to the gentle whispers, and ultimately to the silent movements of their lips, gradually fading away from the surface altogether. As this transition unfolds, the structure of the speech undergoes a transformation. It shifts to a more concise and direct form. This change occurs because the speaker and the listener are now one and the same, allowing the mind to forego the necessity of articulating every detail in complete sentences. The phrase, "I need to find the blue truck under the bed," may ultimately be distilled in the mind to a singular, abstract flash of meaning, or the straightforward keyword, blue truck, embodying the quick, concise style that defines adult inner dialogue. Many people mistakenly believe that conversing with oneself indicates a lack of stability. However, when considering child development, the occurrence of audible childhood out-loud whispers serves as a robust sign of cognitive well-being and effective executive function. Research indicates that children who engage in self-talk during challenging tasks, like tough math problems or intricate pattern matching, often achieve better results than those who remain silent. This suggests that the act of vocalizing thoughts serves as a cognitive guide, enhancing their ability to concentrate. This phenomenon underscores that the inner voice serves as a crucial problem-solving instrument, a self-regulatory mechanism, enabling the brain to retain information within the mind's gentle echo loop. This aspect of working memory functions like a temporary recording tape, allowing for the manipulation and examination of complex ideas, without them fading into forgetfulness. The intricate biological framework necessary for this quiet internal dialogue is remarkably complex, depending on the development of a particular neural pathway known as the dorsal stream, commonly identified in neurology as the where or how pathway. This collection of nerve fibers links the auditory cortex, the region where sound is processed, to the motor areas of the frontal lobe, which oversee speech production. In young children, this connection is still in the process of development, which explains their challenges in inhibiting the act of speaking. They are compelled to express their thoughts, as the internal mute button has yet to be properly connected. As the dorsal stream develops and acquires a protective layer of myelin, the speed and efficiency of signal transmission improve, enabling the brain to convey a prediction of speech, referred to as an brain's quiet receipt, to the auditory cortex without engaging the muscles of the mouth and throat, thereby crafting the illusion of sound without the actual movement of air. The connection between the inner voice and the act of speaking has been so profound that throughout much of human history, the idea of silent reading was nearly unheard of, with reading primarily taking the form of public oral performances. In his Confessions, St. Augustine conveyed a sense of astonishment and admiration when he observed Ambrose, the Bishop of Milan, reading silently. His eyes moved across the text, while his heart pursued the understanding, yet his voice remained quiet and his tongue still. A remarkable sight for the 4th century. This historical change reflects the evolution we experience in our own journeys. In the beginning of our reading journey, we transform visual symbols into spoken sounds to grasp their meaning, a process that gradually becomes second nature. Even as skilled adult readers, electromyography sensors positioned on the throat can frequently identify tiny, imperceptible movements in the larynx referred to as hidden throat murmur, demonstrating that your body continues to quietly articulate the words you are currently reading. The depth and nuance of one's inner voice can be significantly shaped by the manner in which parents or guardians communicated during formative years, a notion thoroughly examined by psychologist Charles Fernyhough. It is suggested that the quality of elaborative reminiscing, the manner in which parents assist children in crafting stories about their past, establishes the foundational framework for the child's personal narrative style. Parents who pose open-ended, detailed questions such as, "What did the tiger look like at the zoo?" instead of simple yes or no inquiries, foster the child's ability to develop a richer, more descriptive, and conversational inner voice. This suggests that the way you converse with yourself during the stillness of the night is probably a reflection of the dialogue patterns you experienced long ago, a lasting imprint of your initial social exchanges. For many children, the emergence of this internal dialogue often leads to the formation of imaginary companions, a phenomenon that was once viewed as problematic, but is now recognized as a nuanced practice for cultivating silent whisper within. Crafting an invisible character invites the child to engage in a unique mental exercise as they navigate a conversation with themselves while anticipating the reactions of a separate personality. This imaginative play serves as a stimulating workout for the brain's social centers. Such interactions frequently mark the initial moment when an individual deliberately divides their internal monologue into a dialogue, establishing a self and an other within the secure confines of their own mind. The ability to engage in dialogue with an imaginary presence serves as a foundation for the mature skill of playing devil's advocate, allowing one to practice challenging discussions in advance or to consider a dilemma from various angles, while remaining within the safe confines of personal reflection. As individuals age, a key role of this developing inner voice becomes the capacity for behavioral inhibition, which fundamentally involves the ability to instruct oneself to halt or refrain from acting on an impulse. In the renowned marshmallow test experiments, where children were promised a second treat if they could hold off on eating the first one for a brief moment, those who managed to wait often employed childhood out-loud whispers strategies, singing little songs to themselves or vocalizing the rules to help them endure the wait. This illustrates how the inner voice serves as a connection across time, enabling us to set aside immediate sensory cravings in pursuit of the long-term aspirations that our inner storyteller reveals to us. In the absence of this internalized verbal guidance, individuals would likely become more reactive beings, responding solely to the immediate stimuli of the present, rather than being influenced by the abstract visions of the future that their inner voice articulates. The universality of the inner voice becomes even clearer when examining its development in individuals who are born profoundly deaf, demonstrating that this phenomenon transcends sound waves and delves into the essence of language itself. Individuals who are deaf and raised with sign language often describe an inner experience characterized by a visual motor monologue. In this state, they visualize hand movements or sense the lingering presence of signs within their muscles, rather than perceiving an acoustic voice. This indicates that the brain does not favor one form of communication over another. Regardless of whether it is spoken English, tonal Mandarin, or American Sign Language, the brain adapts to utilize any linguistic system at its disposal to forge an internal interface for thought. The inner voice is not merely a voice. It is a flow of linguistic symbols, a continuous stream of meaning that draws upon memories of movement and sight as effortlessly as it does upon memories of sound. At last, the complete maturation of the inner voice aligns with the emergence of imagining other hearts, a significant psychological milestone in which a young individual comes to understand that others possess thoughts, beliefs, and knowledge distinct from their own. As the internal monologue deepens, it enables the simulation of others' minds, crafting a personal stage where one can speculate on the thoughts or emotions of another. The capacity to perceive the thoughts of others within our imagination is deeply intertwined with our capacity to listen to ourselves. One cannot truly understand the consciousness of another until they have first cultivated a stable and private awareness of their own. This reflective capacity the ability to detach from the world and retreat into a private simulation, signifies the culmination of the inner voice's evolution. It shifts from a mere tool for identifying objects to a sophisticated philosophical narrator that encapsulates the essence of the human experience. The silent narrator serves a crucial role, acting as an auditory workspace, a concept recognized by psychologists as the mind's gentle echo loop. Envision your mind as a workspace. Without the voice, one could merely observe the surroundings. Yet the voice empowers you to grasp and maintain them firmly. When one attempts to recall a phone number or a passcode just long enough to input it, they are participating in this particular loop. The system is divided into two separate components: a phonological store that functions as an inner ear, retaining sound-based information for a brief period of 1 or 2 seconds, and an articulatory rehearsal process that serves as an inner voice, repeating the information to maintain the memory trace. In the absence of this unceasing, quiet reiteration, the recollection would quickly diminish, akin to breath on a window pane. This explains why, when someone interrupts you while you're mentally reciting a grocery list, the whole list tends to disappear. The cycle has been disrupted. This mechanism, steeped in antiquity and significance, stands as a cornerstone of human working memory, enabling the layering of thoughts instead of allowing them to fade into obscurity. This internal workspace transcends mere numerical data. It enables a cognitive skill referred to as mental time travel, particularly the envisioning of future occurrences. As one engages their inner voice to outline the day's agenda, it becomes clear that this is not just a simple enumeration of tasks. Rather, it is a complex rehearsal of reality, unfolding in the mind before it manifests in the world. The mind employs an inner voice to craft a narrative for what lies ahead, exploring various possibilities without facing the actual repercussions of reality. One might envision the scenario of requesting a raise, contemplating the response from their boss and the counter-arguments that would follow. This narrative unfolds through an external perspective, crafting imagined possibilities that allow for safer navigation when those moments come to pass. Research indicates that individuals who experience a less prominent inner voice frequently face greater challenges with this form of autobiographical planning. They remember the past and understand what actions are necessary, yet the vivid storytelling of the future appears more elusive. This indicates that our inner dialogue serves as the main instrument to connect our present selves with the individuals we aspire to become in the days ahead. Beyond planning, the inner voice acts as an essential framework for navigating intricate problem-solving and reasoning. When faced with a challenging math problem or the perplexing task of assembling furniture from unclear instructions, one might find their inner voice growing increasingly assertive and focused. This is not an indication of insanity, but rather a demonstration of significant mental effort. This phenomenon is intricately connected to the theories of developmental psychologist Lev Vygotsky, who suggested that silent whisper within represents the internalization of social speech. In childhood, problems are often unraveled through spoken words. As the world is mastered, that speech folds inward. Yet, when faced with a challenging task, the voice re-emerges, guiding us in organizing our thoughts. It divides an ongoing flow of information into digestible pieces, clearly marking each phase of the issue. By silently articulating the steps, first doing this, then connecting that, you are effectively creating a user manual for your brain in real time, honing your focus and keeping your mind anchored to the task at hand. This focusing effect reaches into one of the most essential functions of the human mind: impulse control and self-regulation. The voice serves not merely as a commentator, it frequently acts as a limiter. In moments when a tempting yet unhealthy treat catches your eye, and a voice within cautions against indulging, or when a surge of anger arises but is met with a gentle reminder to remain calm and silent, one can observe the power of inner dialogue, guiding the mind beyond instinctual reactions. This concept is referred to as inhibitory control. The brain regions responsible for producing this internal directive to halt are intricately connected to the motor cortex, indicating that the mental refrain of "don't do it" serves as a physical intervention that obstructs an alternative physical response. Research indicates that when individuals are required to suppress their inner dialogue, like repeating a nonsensical word out loud while engaged in a task, their capacity to manage impulses declines markedly. The voice serves as a restraint for the mind, an essential balance to the unending tide of wants and responses that surge within us. This regulatory voice emerges most prominently during the solitary act of reading, a process that may seem silent, yet is filled with chemical and physical activity. As one delves into a book, there is a strong likelihood of engaging in hidden throat murmur, the internal dialogue that accompanies the act of reading. Even though your lips remain still, your brain communicates with your vocal cords, tongue, and larynx, orchestrating the subtle muscular movements of speech at a microscopic level, resulting in a silent performance. This practice is not merely a flaw, it frequently proves vital for understanding. As speed readers strive to silence this inner voice in their quest for faster reading, studies reveal that removing hidden throat murmur may actually hinder comprehension of intricate or subtle texts. The inner voice infuses the text with vitality, offering the prosody, rhythm, stress, and intonation that the written words inherently miss. It enables one to perceive the sarcasm woven into a character's dialogue, or the sorrow embedded within a poem. I'm curious, when you find yourself reading a novel in the stillness of the night, do you imagine each character with their own unique voice, or does everything resonate with your own internal voice? Share your thoughts in the comments, as it's intriguing to see how we envision the audio plays within our minds. Understanding the social landscape demands a unique form of internal reasoning, commonly known as imagining other hearts, with your inner voice serving as its driving force. Imagining other hearts refers to the capacity to recognize and assign mental states, such as beliefs, intentions, desires, and knowledge, to others, while also grasping that their minds may differ from one's own. One often engages in inner dialogue to envision the viewpoints of others. When considering the potential impact of your words, knowing that she may feel hurt due to her sensitivity on that topic, you engage in a social simulation through your verbal working memory. One engages in a dialogue with an ethereal representation of another individual, aiming to foresee social consequences. This internal role-playing enables individuals to traverse intricate social structures and uphold connections. The inability to verbally convey the thoughts of others within our own private mental landscape would greatly diminish our capacity for empathy and complex social interaction. The ongoing discussions about unseen audiences serve to keep us linked to the tangible ones. This internal debate serves as our main tool for managing emotions, particularly through a method known as gentle self from afar in psychological circles. In moments of intense anxiety or sorrow, the inner voice tends to spiral in a continuous cycle of thoughts, like "I am worried" or "I am hurt." Nevertheless, the voice possesses an inherent release valve. Research indicates that altering the language of one's inner voice from the first person to the second or third person by using "you" or one's own name can significantly alleviate emotional distress. This linguistic shift establishes a psychological distance, leading the mind to interpret the emotion as though it were occurring to another individual. It captivates the analytical, rational aspects of the mind, instead of appealing to the impulsive, emotional responses. The voice serves as a restraint for the mind, an essential balance to the unending flow of desires and reactions that course through our being. The inner voice serves a significant purpose in our ability to navigate the various tasks we encounter throughout our daily lives, a process referred to as task switching. In today's world, individuals find themselves perpetually redirecting their attention from one task to another, a demanding and exhausting endeavor for the mind. Silent Whisper Within serves as a catalyst for these transitions. As the final touches are put on the email, a quiet moment of transition occurs. The thought arises, email completed. Now it's time to begin the task of chopping vegetables for dinner. This verbal label assists the mind in wiping the slate clean of the old rule set and preparing to embrace the new one. It acts as a signal that reshapes your neural pathways for the upcoming task. Research indicates that when individuals are prevented from utilizing inner dialogue during task-switching activities, their performance slows down and the likelihood of errors increases. The voice functions much like a switchboard operator, connecting and disconnecting the cords of attention to guarantee that our mental resources are focused on the appropriate tasks at the appropriate moments. For individuals aiming to excel in a physical skill, whether it be playing the piano or swinging a tennis racket, the inner dialogue divides into two clear functional styles: instructional self-talk and motivational self-talk. Instructional self-talk focuses on the intricacies of movement mechanics. It is the voice that advises, maintain straight wrists or flex your knees. This form of inner dialogue sharpens concentration on particular technical aspects of performance and is vital in the initial phases of learning when a movement has yet to become second nature. As one becomes an expert, that original voice often diminishes, giving way to motivational self-talk with affirmations such as, "You've got this," or "Stay focused." Interestingly, an over-reliance on instructional voice, even for those who are already experts, can hinder performance. This phenomenon, often referred to as choking, occurs when one begins to overanalyze a process that is meant to be fluid. The voice possesses the wisdom to instruct and to celebrate, and discerning the appropriate frequency to engage with is an art that significantly influences our performance in challenging situations. Ultimately, all these functions converge in the role of the inner voice in metacognition, which is the capacity to reflect on one's own thought processes. This represents the pinnacle of executive function. The voice serves as an observer, perpetually assessing the caliber of one's own reflections and recollections. As one reads a paragraph, a voice within may emerge, expressing confusion and prompting a desire to revisit the text for clarity. This moment reflects the workings of metacognition. The narrative unfolds as a cycle of introspection, where the mind scrutinizes its own essence. This self-monitoring fosters a sense of intellectual humility and facilitates learning. It is the voice that identifies a deficiency in understanding or an inconsistency in reasoning. In the absence of this reflective narrator, one would navigate the world mindlessly, lacking the ability to rectify mental missteps or evaluate personal comprehension. The illumination cast by the mind upon itself enables not merely existence, but the awareness of that existence, fostering a continual refinement of the essence of being. As scientists delve into the intricacies of the brain to uncover the roots of one's inner dialogue, they discover that the phenomenon of self-conversation bears a striking resemblance, on a biological level, to engaging with a crowd of individuals. It is revealed that the silent whisper within you experience is primarily produced by the very same area of the brain that governs spoken language, known as Broca's area, which is typically found in the left frontal lobe of most individuals. Upon choosing to formulate a sentence quietly in your thoughts, Broca's area springs into action, orchestrating the movements of your jaw, lips, and tongue, as though you were preparing to vocalize the words aloud. The neural patterns closely resemble one another, structuring the syntax and grammar of one's innermost reflections. This implies that, on a deeper level, your mind does not significantly differentiate between a thought you hold privately and one you express openly. For your neurons, the purpose remains unchanged, and the groundwork is equally demanding. It beautifully illustrates the tangible nature of our mental landscapes, showing that the silent voice within us is not merely a faint whisper, but a dynamic force that has merely paused before expressing itself audibly. This brings us to the intriguing process that maintains the silence of your inner voice, a biological protection that stops you from voicing every transient thought that crosses your mind. As Broca's area diligently prepares the speech, the brain concurrently dispatches a strong inhibitory signal to the motor cortex, targeting the specific strip of tissue responsible for controlling the muscles of the mouth and larynx. This process acts as a neurological mute button. The brain intricately simulates the act of speaking so adeptly that it must consciously inhibit the signals from reaching the vocal cords. During sleep studies and in moments of profound relaxation, this inhibition may occasionally falter, shedding light on why individuals might mumble while asleep. There exists a fragile equilibrium of stimulation and restraint, where the mind internally clamors, while externally maintaining a quietude, permitting the sensation of a voice to emerge without disturbing the stillness of the space in which one finds solace. Despite this inhibition, the silence of the inner voice is not as complete as it may seem, for the body frequently engages in subtle ways with the mind's dialogue. In a fascinating occurrence, referred to as hidden throat murmur, when one recites a verse or contemplates a sentence distinctly, the vocal cords frequently partake in subtle, imperceptible movements that reflect the words being thought. Electromyography, a technique that assesses electrical activity in muscles, has revealed that during periods of intense, silent whisper within, the larynx picks up subtle signals and tightens in accordance with the structure of the words, despite the absence of airflow to produce sound. This suggests that silent reading can be subtly exhausting, as your throat engages in an imagined performance of the words you are taking in while you gradually succumb to slumber. The intricacies of this internal dialogue become more profound when one reflects on the ownership of the voice in their mind, questioning whether it truly belongs to them or to another. This concept is regulated by an advanced prediction mechanism known as the brain's quiet receipt, or corollary discharge. As the brain conjures a thought, it dispatches a directive to articulate the words, simultaneously transmitting a duplicate of that directive to the sensory areas of the brain, signaling an anticipation of hearing that particular voice at that moment. The brain's ability to predict sound reduces the sensory impact, distinguishing the voice as one that is self-generated. This is the very reason one cannot tickle oneself. The mind anticipates the feeling, eliminating any element of shock. When this system operates flawlessly, the inner voice resonates with a sense of familiarity and safety, serving as a comforting narrator of your own life. The narrative unfolds in a continuous cycle of expectation and validation, establishing a profound sense of self that grounds you in reality. Broca's area manages the internal dialogue, while Wernicke's area takes charge of the listening aspect, overseeing the comprehension of language. This affirms that engaging in self-dialogue is, from a neurological perspective, a genuine exchange. One segment of your mind articulates, while another segment absorbs and makes sense of the information. In moments of deep contemplation, information circulates between these two regions, forming a continuous loop of exchange. This activation reveals the reason behind the clarity with which you hear your own thoughts, grasping the nuance and tone as if a friend were conversing with you. It forms a complete loop of understanding, enabling you to embody both the narrator and the enthralled listener at once. This experience becomes especially comforting as you engage your inner voice to soothe yourself after a long day. Linking these two essential language centers, the speaker and the listener, is a significant bundle of nerve fibers known as the arcuate fasciculus. Imagine a vast superhighway of white matter gracefully arching through the brain, facilitating rapid data transmission between the frontal and temporal lobes. The strength of this neural connection is crucial for a seamless inner dialogue. For individuals who engage in deep thought or depend significantly on verbal methods for problem solving, this pathway tends to be particularly well developed. It serves as the physical foundation of your awareness, a tangible connection that enables the initial spark of an idea in the forefront of your mind to be comprehended as a cohesive sentence in the depths of your thoughts. As one relaxes tonight, one can envision these neural highways humming quietly, transporting the gentle traffic of final thoughts of the day before the lights fade away. Beyond the language centers, the auditory cortex, typically dedicated to processing external sounds, also becomes active during silent whisper within. This discovery marked a significant advancement for neuroscientists, as it confirmed the personal experience that we genuinely perceive our thoughts audibly. Envisioning a particular sound, such as the roar of a crashing wave or the familiar tone of a loved one's voice, prompts the primary auditory cortex to engage with nearly the same intensity as if the sound were actually present. This suggests that imagination is not an isolated or inferior ability. Instead, it acts as a simulation that commandeers the brain's sensory mechanisms. The brain weaves a tapestry of sound, replaying memories and words through the same channels that capture the world's noises. This is why a soothing memory can emerge so vividly and intimately when one finds themselves enveloped in the stillness of darkness. Yet, the inner voice transcends mere words and definitions. It frequently brims with emotion, sarcasm, and tone, engaging the right hemisphere of the brain in the process. In the realm of language, the left hemisphere takes charge of grammar and vocabulary, while the right hemisphere enriches the experience with prosody, infusing the voice with musicality and emotional depth. When the inner voice offers harsh criticism or gentle reassurance, it is the right hemisphere that is shaping that emotional experience. It enriches the monochrome text of your thoughts with vibrant hues. This partnership between reason and emotion guarantees that the internal dialogue possesses a distinct character, mirroring your present mood and sentiments, allowing the voice within to resonate intimately as your own. A notable distinction in brain activity emerges based on the nature of one's silent whisper within, whether it is concise or elaborate. Building upon the insights of psychologist Lev Vygotsky, neuroscientists have discovered that in moments of relaxation or when contemplating familiar subjects, our inner dialogue transforms into a concise, abbreviated form. This rapid, telegraphic speech sheds grammatical structures, as the brain is already attuned to the context at hand. In this state, the brain operates with remarkable efficiency and clarity. In moments of confronting a challenging problem or a stressful scenario, individuals often transition to a more elaborate form of inner dialogue, employing complete and grammatically accurate sentences. This shift serves to decelerate their thought processes and manage their actions more effectively. This change can be observed in the energy consumption of the brain. As the task becomes more demanding, the inner voice becomes increasingly articulate, guiding you through each syllable and serving as a steadfast cognitive anchor amidst the challenge. Ultimately, attention must be directed toward the soft drift of thoughts, an extensive brain network that activates when one ceases to concentrate on the external environment and instead focuses inward, as experienced during daydreaming or the onset of sleep. The inner voice serves as the main narrator of this network. As the soft drift of thoughts activates, the mind drifts through a tapestry of memories, future aspirations, and imagined possibilities, all led by an inner flow of thought. Though it may seem like the brain is on standby, it is anything but idle. It is a vibrant realm of connections where imagination frequently flourishes. As one lies in bed now, the brain likely shifts into this default mode, and the inner voice slowly untethers from the logic of the day, becoming more fluid and dreamlike as it prepares to hand over the reins to sleep. The inner workings of your mind reveal an intriguing quality: its astonishing speed and inclination for brevity, a phenomenon that psychologists describe as condensed, silent whisper within. The speaker and the listener are one and the same, you. Therefore, there is no necessity to express complete, grammatically correct sentences to communicate a message to yourself, as you are already familiar with the context of your own thoughts. Research into the linguistics of silent whisper within reveals a fragmented nature, often devoid of the subject and comprising only predicates or verbs, enabling it to progress at a pace far exceeding that of overt speech. For instance, when a bus approaches, One does not consciously articulate, "The bus is coming down the street now." Instead, the mind quickly processes the concepts of coming or bus, and the complete meaning is grasped in an instant. This syntactical condensation suggests that silent whisper within is believed to function at a remarkable pace of 4,000 words per minute, almost 10 times quicker than spoken language. This remarkable speed enables the planning of intricate actions, the assessment of surroundings, and the making of decisions in mere moments, resulting in a flow of thought that appears fluid and instantaneous, contrasting sharply with the more cumbersome and deliberate process of verbal communication. This internal condensation fluctuates in response to the challenges at hand, transforming into what researchers refer to as expanded silent whisper within when faced with obstacles. As one navigates through the mundane tasks of daily life, thoughts may race by in a swift, almost chaotic manner, especially during simple routines such as brushing teeth or walking familiar paths. However, when faced with a challenge, be it a tough math problem, an intricate recipe, or a tense social encounter, the inner dialogue takes on a more deliberate and structured form, reflecting a deeper engagement with the situation at hand. Research utilizing electromyography to monitor subtle movements in the throat muscles reveals that, amidst these demanding cognitive tasks, the inner voice starts to closely resemble the patterns of external speech. This change happens as employing complete sentences aids in organizing the issue, retaining the specifics in your working memory, and enabling a more logical manipulation of the information. One might sense that the mind instinctively understands the need to transition from the abstract to the concrete when tackling a puzzle. It guides the individual through each step, much like a teacher would assist a student, demonstrating that the nature of one's inner voice is not fixed, but rather a flexible instrument that evolves according to cognitive requirements. Beyond merely differing in speed and structure, the voice within one's mind often engages in a dialogue rather than a singular monologue, frequently dividing into various perspectives to debate, argue, or converse with itself. This concept, referred to as the dialogical self theory, presents the idea that the mind operates not as a solitary computer processor, but rather as a community of thoughts where various internal characters express distinct perspectives. One might encounter this scenario when faced with a challenging decision, where one internal voice champions indulgence, while another promotes discipline, resulting in a true exchange that resembles the interaction of two separate entities. Neuroimaging studies provide evidence for this, revealing that when individuals partake in such internal debates, the brain engages regions linked to imagining other hearts, the very areas utilized to comprehend the viewpoints of others. This suggests that engaging in self-talk is akin to creating a social dialogue, where one moment you might embody a nurturing companion, and the next, a stern evaluator, both emerging from the same neural foundation. A specific and powerful variation of internal dialogue exists, known as gentle self from afar. This method involves addressing oneself in the third person, utilizing one's own name or pronouns, such as he or she, instead of I. Research conducted at the University of Michigan reveals that this straightforward change in language can significantly influence emotional regulation and self-control. When individuals refer to themselves in the first person, they often find themselves deeply entrenched in their emotions, experiencing the intense burden of anxiety or stress. However, when they transition to using their own name, such as considering that David needs to calm down instead of I need to calm down, it establishes a sense of psychological distance. This phenomenon, frequently referred to as Solomon's paradox, enables one to perceive personal challenges with the same wisdom and objectivity typically reserved for a friend. This internal voice diminishes activity in the brain's emotional centers, like the amygdala, while activating the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic and planning. The voice reveals a nuanced shift, transforming personal experience into an impartial account, serving as an inherent tool for calming a restless mind. At times, the inner voice within one's mind evolves into something beyond mere speech, manifesting instead as a phenomenon recognized as involuntary musical imagery, often called an earworm. This represents a distinctive type of internal audio, where a fragment of music continuously loops without your conscious consent, yet it resides within the same mind's gentle echo loop of your working memory that your inner voice employs for language. Researchers have discovered that this melodic voice frequently arises during periods of minimal cognitive demand, like when one is attempting to sleep or engaged in mundane tasks, as the brain possesses surplus processing capacity that it aims to occupy. Remarkably, the pace of these internal melodies frequently mirrors the original recording with great precision, showcasing the mind's extraordinary ability for auditory accuracy even in the absence of external sound. For numerous individuals, this melodic interpretation of the inner voice acts as a calming influence, assisting the mind in managing its arousal levels, although it may occasionally become overwhelming. It emphasizes that the inner voice is not merely verbal. It serves as a sonic simulator, adept at recreating melodies, timbres, and rhythms with the same ease as it articulates words. As we gather this evening, I am eager to hear about your experiences with the various ways we perceive sounds in our minds. In moments of deep relaxation or quiet reading, does the inner voice resonate with the same cadence as your spoken words? Or does it adopt a different, perhaps more serene or insightful quality? It is intriguing how distinct this experience becomes for each individual. As one delves further into the complexities of internal experience, the phenomenon of the inner critic emerges a distinct type of repetitive, negative thinking that frequently operates independently from conscious, intentional thoughts. This narrative frequently circles back on itself, echoing the same concerns or evaluations, and is closely associated with the engagement of the soft drift of thoughts in the brain, the mechanism that activates when we are not concentrating on a particular activity. In contrast to the supportive voice that assists you in navigating a recipe, the inner critic emerges as an unwelcome presence, often more difficult to manage. It can echo the tone of an authoritative figure from one's past, like a parent or teacher. Psychologists differentiate this from typical inner dialogue by highlighting its ego-dystonic characteristics in certain instances, indicating that it may seem at odds with one's authentic self-image. Yet, it is, in truth, a misguided protective mechanism. This voice, in its biological evolution, served to warn early humans of social threats or errors that might result in their exclusion from the group. In the contemporary landscape, this survival mechanism often becomes excessively vigilant, confusing social discomfort with imminent peril, leading to a persistent inner dialogue that aims to protect by encouraging a diminished presence. As one drifts closer to the edges of sleep, the voice within the mind undergoes a radical transformation into what is known as twilight mind murmurs. In the liminal space between wakefulness and slumber, the coherent, organized inner dialogue starts to fade, giving way to a cascade of random, frequently absurd phrases, names, or sentences that emerge seemingly from thin air. In contrast to the intentional thoughts that one guides during the day, these hypnagogic voices present themselves passively. You find yourself as the observer rather than the one conveying the message. A voice may distinctly utter a word, such as clouds or a nonsensical sentence, paired with ephemeral visual images. This happens as the brain's frontal lobes, tasked with logic and reality assessment, begin to shut down, while the sensory association areas stay engaged, sending out erratic signals. It represents a unique internal experience, indicating that the brain is entering a state of rest, allowing for a seamless, dreamlike flow of auditory hallucinations that are entirely normal and indicative of profound relaxation. For avid readers, the inner voice transforms, adopting a chameleon-like quality, often referred to as the reader's voice or auditory simulation, while immersed in a book. As one delves into a novel, the mind engages with the text, transforming it from mere abstract information into a rich tapestry of meaning. For many, it distinctly assigns unique voices, accents, and timbres to various characters. A study exploring this phenomenon revealed that more than 80% of readers experience an inner voice during reading, with this voice frequently altering its pitch and pace in response to the dialogue tags and descriptions present in the text. When a character whispers, the inner voice becomes softer. This indicates that the brain interprets written language by transforming it into a simulated auditory experience, utilizing the same neural pathways that are engaged when hearing real speech. This internal acting performance unfolds seamlessly and without effort, enabling you to perceive a British accent, a gritty villain, or a high-pitched child, all without a single sound resonating in the room. This skill showcases the vast imaginative potential of the inner voice, acting not only as a storyteller of one's own experiences, but also as a creator of complete realms and characters. A different aspect of silent whisper within emerges in the phenomenon of silent rehearsal, a particular way of thinking employed to ready oneself for future vocal expression. In contrast to the brief, abstract notions one holds internally, rehearsal speech emerges as a complete and coherent expression, delivered at a natural conversational rhythm and frequently reiterated to refine the wording. This is the voice that resonates within as one readies to make a phone call, rehearses an apology, or commits a presentation to memory. Neurologically, this type of silent whisper within ignites powerful, hidden throat murmur, transmitting signals to the tongue and larynx that come close to initiating movement, but are restrained just before they can act. This rehearsal mode serves as a creative space for the mind, enabling one to experiment with words, listen to their resonance, and refine them for maximum effect before they are shared with the outside world. This represents a unique functional state of the inner voice, transitioning from merely a thinking aid to an instrument of performance, showcasing the mind's remarkable capacity to envision future realities with astonishing accuracy. For those who are multilingual, the inner voice presents a rich and intricate experience, referred to as bilingual internal speech. Investigations into bilingualism uncover that the language of the inner voice frequently changes based on the emotional context or the particular area of life under consideration. An individual may find themselves counting or performing arithmetic in their native tongue, a skill rooted in their formative memories, yet transition to a second language when contemplating professional tasks or abstract ideas acquired later on. Moreover, research indicates that internally switching languages can alter the emotional impact of one's thoughts. Reflecting on a painful memory in a second language tends to evoke a sense of detachment, allowing for a more analytical perspective compared to the emotional weight it carries in one's native tongue. This emotional detachment effect enables bilingual individuals to harness their internal voice as a means of emotional regulation, often switching between languages without conscious thought to navigate their feelings. This variation demonstrates that the inner voice is influenced by culture and intricately connected to the unique neural pathways established during language learning, resulting in an internal monologue that is a dynamic and evolving tapestry of sounds and meanings. Many psychologists now perceive the inner voice within one's mind not as a singular, unchanging entity, but as a vibrant community of thoughts, a notion referred to as the inner voices in quiet conversation. Crafted by Hutch psychologist Hubert Hermans, this framework proposes that the self is not a singular entity, but rather a diverse array of various perspectives. At any given moment, one might find an internal position functioning as the parent, speaking with a tone of responsibility and care, while simultaneously holding a position of the child, voicing feelings of vulnerability or playfulness. The various positions interact with each other, reminiscent of characters in a narrative or performers on a stage, as they navigate your choices and emotions through an internal dialogue. This implies that the voice you perceive serves as a kind of performance, where you embody the writer, the director, and all the characters simultaneously. In moments of conflict, one may find that two legitimate perspectives are engaged in a fervent discussion within the mental arena. Perhaps the driven professional and the leisure-seeking personal self, each vying for attention. Moreover, mental well-being frequently hinges on the capacity of these internal voices to engage in dialogue, rather than drowning each other out. The internal negotiation takes on a captivating dimension when we examine the precise language we employ to communicate with ourselves, especially the psychological distance that arises from altering pronouns. Research conducted by psychologist Ethan Kross has shown that the straightforward practice of addressing oneself in the third person, by using one's own name, or you, instead of I, can notably alleviate anxiety and enhance emotional regulation. This phenomenon, commonly known as gentle self from afar, operates by transitioning your viewpoint from a personal, engaged experience to a more detached, observational perspective. When one expresses, "I am really nervous," the brain engages areas linked to the immediate emotional experience of fear. Yet, when one expresses that they feel nervous but can manage the situation while incorporating their own name, there is a noticeable change in brain activity. It reflects the mental process of offering guidance to a companion. This change in language enables one to sidestep the mind's self-centered panic reaction, providing a pathway to clearer and more rational thought. It serves as a nuanced enhancement of the mind, demonstrating that the way your inner voice is constructed holds equal significance to the message it delivers. Have you ever found yourself instinctively referring to yourself as you or by your name during a challenging or stressful time? When the inner voice struggles to manage emotions and becomes ensnared in a repetitive cycle, it finds itself in a condition recognized by psychologists as endless soft loop, a significant aspect of the mind's soft drift of thoughts that has gone astray. Endless soft loop manifests as a relentless loop of internal dialogue, where the voice incessantly revisits past troubles or anticipates future anxieties, all while failing to progress toward resolution. In contrast to constructive reflection that propels a narrative onward, ruminative self-talk remains confined in a loop, lacking progression. Neuroimaging studies indicate that this occurs when the brain's cognitive control networks are unable to suppress the emotional centers, resulting in the inner voice being overtaken by the amygdala. The voice inquires about the reasons behind events, posing questions such as why this is occurring to them. These inquiries often remain unanswered, spiraling into abstract, negative thoughts. In contrast to more practical, how questions that focus on tangible actions, this repetitive internal dialogue serves not merely as a sign of poor moods, but frequently acts as the very mechanism that perpetuates them. Each time the voice articulates the negative memory, it re-encodes it, deepening the neural pathway and facilitating easier access to that thought in the future, thus establishing a self-reinforcing cycle of internal sound. The specific tone and texture of this inner voice often originates from the external voices of our earliest caregivers, a process recognized in psychology as the internalization of attachment figures. Lev Vygotsky originally proposed that silent whisper within is social speech turned inward. However, modern attachment theory expands on this idea, suggesting that the inner critic or inner nurturer we hear as adults often mirrors the actual acoustic properties, including the prosody, rhythm, and timbre of our parents or guardians. When a child is raised by a parent who embodies soothing patience in stressful moments, it is statistically more probable that their inner voice in adulthood will resonate with compassion in the face of failure. On the other hand, strict or unpredictable parenting can create a lasting inner voice that communicates with frustration or contempt. This suggests that for numerous individuals, the internal voice resembles an auditory spectre, a persistent reverberation of authoritative figures from years past. It has woven itself so intricately into the mind that it is often confused with one's own genuine beliefs, obscuring the distinction between personal identity and the expectations imposed by others. The intricate development of the mind sheds light on the tendency of the inner voice to gravitate towards negativity, a phenomenon that is fundamentally tied to our survival instincts. Humans exhibit a tendency to focus on negative information, as the brain gives precedence to threats over positive experiences. This behavior stems from our ancestral past, where overlooking a danger could lead to dire consequences, while disregarding a reward was simply a minor inconvenience. The inner voice serves as a perpetual evaluator, meticulously analyzing potential social dangers, the possibility of rejection, or the chance of failure. It is fundamentally a smoke detector that has been adjusted to be excessively sensitive. It would much prefer to rouse you at 3 a.m. with a phantom alert about an uncomfortable dialogue from 5 years past than to take the chance of you overlooking a social signal that might result in exclusion. This discerning narrator does not aim to bring you distress. Rather, it seeks to protect you in its own manner, meticulously examining every potential pitfall that may arise. Recognizing that this negative inclination is a biological default instead of a personal failing can transform your connection with your own thoughts. Does your inner narrator often take on the role of a stern critic, highlighting potential threats? Or does it embody a nurturing coach, urging you to take a break? The connection between identity and inner voice transforms into something enchanting as one immerses in fiction, a process beautifully captured by the phenomenology of reading. As one delves into a novel, they essentially welcome an unfamiliar consciousness to share their thoughts, leading many readers to perceive the characters' voices as separate from their own internal dialogue. This phenomenon is not a mere illusion. Rather, it represents a striking instance of auditory imagery, wherein the mind replicates the accent, pitch, and cadence of a character, drawing from the hints provided in the text. Functional MRI scans reveal that when individuals engage with expressive dialogue, the regions of the brain responsible for interpreting genuine human voices become active. This fleeting union of your inner voice with a narrative one fosters a profound sense of empathy. You are essentially operating the mental framework of someone else within your own system. Throughout the book, the narrative voice takes precedence over your internal thoughts, enabling you to experience life through another's perspective. This shift can lead to a sense of quiet sorrow upon completing a compelling read, as the captivating voice fades away and your own solitary reflections return. In rare and complex cases, the mechanism that differentiates our inner voice from external sounds can falter, revealing the neurological origins of auditory hallucinations. This distinction is based on a neural signal known as corollary discharge. As one prepares to articulate thoughts or even form sentences in their mind, the brain's motor cortex transmits a duplicate of that command to the sensory cortex, signaling to disregard this sound as it is self-generated. This reduces the sensory effect of your own voice, which explains why you are unable to tickle yourself. The sensation is anticipated by your brain. In conditions such as schizophrenia, the corollary discharge signal might be diminished or absent. An individual forms an internal thought, yet the sensory cortex remains unaware that this thought originates from within themselves. As a result, the thought is experienced with the complete sensory intensity and unfamiliar essence of an outside voice. It represents a significant misstep in source monitoring, illustrating that the sense of ownership regarding our internal dialogue is a delicate neurological framework, rather than an assured aspect of consciousness. As one delves into a novel or a story, does the inner voice ever shift its accent, gender, or tone to align with the various characters being envisioned? On a more practical level, the specific content of our silent whisper within significantly influences physical performance and motor skills, broadly categorized into instructional and motivational self-talk. Research in sports psychology uncovers that these two varieties of internal voices engage distinct neural pathways and serve different purposes effectively. When one engages in instructional self-talk, like reminding oneself to keep the elbow in or to focus on the ball, It activates the brain's planning and executive control centers. It proves to be exceptionally efficient for activities that demand meticulous motor skills, accuracy, and expertise. Conversely, motivational self-talk resembles an internal rallying cry, urging oneself to push through and persevere, focusing less on accuracy and more on galvanizing physical effort and stamina. It functions by elevating arousal levels while dampening the signals of fatigue. Elite athletes frequently possess meticulously crafted inner dialogues, skillfully transitioning from the analytical tone of the engineer to the instinctive encouragement of the cheerleader, thereby optimizing their physical performance. The volume and intensity of the voice within one's mind are significantly shaped by the surrounding environment, particularly the degree of social isolation encountered. In environments of extreme solitude, like solitary confinement or solo polar expeditions, the inner voice of humans frequently undergoes a transformation. In the absence of external conversation to ground the mind, the brain strives to preserve its linguistic processing abilities by amplifying the internal dialogue. In these moments of sensory deprivation, the inner voice emerges as a separate entity, offering a sense of companionship. This phenomenon is often referred to as the third man factor in survival scenarios, where the internal observer separates to form a soothing, commanding presence that leads the individual towards safety. It implies that the inner voice plays a role in maintaining balance. It governs our desire for social interaction, filling the void with crafted dialogue when the surroundings fall silent, guaranteeing that the mind perpetually has a companion to converse with, even if that companion is merely itself. When one finds themselves in solitude, does the inner dialogue amplify and become more vibrant, or does the stillness bring a sense of calm to the thoughts? Ultimately, the inner voice within your mind serves as the essential instrument for shaping your narrative identity, the internalized and ever-evolving tale of the self. Psychologist Dan McAdams suggests that memories are not merely stored. Instead, we engage in a process of curation and editing through our inner dialogue, crafting a unified narrative that defines our identity. The narrator of this autobiography is your inner voice. It perpetually draws upon past events, reshaping them within the present context of your thoughts, selecting which details to emphasize and which to overlook, to align with the prevailing narrative of your existence. When one perceives themselves as a survivor, the inner narrative transforms past struggles into tales of triumph over adversity. When one perceives themselves as a victim, the same events unfold as tales of tragedy. This suggests that your identity is not a static entity hidden within the depths of the brain, but rather a narrative unfolding, crafted word by word by the inner voice that narrates your thoughts. In a profound way, one becomes the narrative they continuously share with themselves. By altering the tone and substance of that inner dialogue, it becomes possible to reshape the essence of one's identity. To guarantee that you stay updated with the forthcoming chapter of these soothing insights, kindly subscribe to the channel. One of the most profound and unsettling ways the inner voice can behave arises when the brain does not acknowledge its own internal speech, a phenomenon closely associated with auditory verbal hallucinations. Although hearing voices is often perceived as a clear dysfunction, recent neuroscientific studies indicate that it may instead be a nuanced error within the brain's source monitoring system. As one engages in silent self-dialogue, the brain dispatches a distinct signal, recognized as a corollary discharge or an brain's quiet receipt, to the auditory cortex. This signal softly assures there's no need for concern. This sound originates from within, not from the external environment, thereby lessening the sensory effect of the voice. Within the minds of individuals encountering auditory hallucinations, the essential signal of self-recognition falters, leaving them adrift in a disorienting reality. The silent whisper within unfolds, yet the auditory cortex engages with it, experiencing the full intensity and surprise as if it were an external sound. The narrative unfolds with an intriguing detachment, yet the experience remains strikingly unfamiliar. This establishes a reality in which the inner voice appears completely independent, able to interject, debate, or provide commentary from a sensed distance, highlighting the delicate line that exists between our internal musings and the outside world. The essence and character of these misidentified inner voices are not arbitrary. Rather, they are intriguingly influenced by the culture surrounding the listener, demonstrating that our social environment molds our internal reality. A significant study conducted by Stanford anthropologist Tanya Luhrmann examined the auditory hallucinations experienced by individuals in the United States, in contrast to those in India and Ghana. She discovered a remarkable contrast. While Americans predominantly described their voices as aggressive, severe, and analytical, employing clinical language or calls for devastation, audiences in India and Ghana frequently conveyed a markedly different perspective. Their voices often carried a playful quality, offered advice, or echoed the tones of ancestors and older relatives. In Accra, many perceived the voices as a beneficial link to the divine, or as a guiding force for accomplishing tasks. This implies that while the biological essence of the voice, the errant neurons, may be a common thread, the nature of the inner voice is shaped by the fabric of our cultural norms. In a culture that perceives the mind as a stronghold under attack, the voices emerge as intruders. When the mind is perceived as an open vessel for spirits or community, the voices transform into guests, altering the emotional landscape of the experience entirely. As the inner voice shifts towards the shadows of depression, it experiences a change in its temporal perspective, becoming ensnared in what psychologists refer to as depressive, endless soft loop. In contrast to constructive reflection that seeks resolution, endless soft loop resembles a stuck record, an unchanging cycle where the inner dialogue poses repetitive questions such as, "Why do I feel this way?" or "What is wrong with me?" without ever allowing for a moment of response. Neuroimaging studies have revealed a connection between this repetitive, silent whisper within and heightened activity in the soft drift of thoughts, a collection of brain regions that becomes active when we are not engaged in a specific task. In a healthy mind, this network quiets down when one engages with the world. But in a depressed mind, the soft drift of thoughts remains fiercely active, ensnaring the inner voice in a relentless cycle of past regrets and negative self-judgment. The voice serves as a relentless prosecutor, presenting a case with no defense in sight, meticulously drawing upon memories that reinforce a negative perspective. This unyielding cycle of words overwhelms the mind, diminishing the mental space needed for problem-solving or fully engaging with the present moment, ultimately confining the listener within a fortress of language. Unlike the retrospective focus of depression, anxiety's inner voice is predominantly fixated on what lies ahead, employing a mental ability called episodic simulation to weave together dire scenarios. The anxious inner voice serves as a narrator of dire possibilities, marked by a quick succession of conditional phrases, with sentences beginning with "what if," "suppose," or "if only." In the realm of human thought, envisioning the future serves as a fundamental mechanism for preparation. However, anxiety disrupts this cognitive process. It creates a worry chain, where one verbal thought triggers an associated negative thought, which triggers another, accelerating the pace of internal speech until it feels like a runaway train. Interestingly, research indicates that this verbal worry functions as a means of cognitive avoidance. By concentrating on the verbal specifics of a possible issue, the inner voice stifles the unfiltered physiological feelings and mental visuals that could be even more troubling. In this manner, the racing inner voice serves as a shield, speaking loudly and swiftly to overshadow the profound, unspoken emotions of fear that the body is attempting to navigate. A different and profoundly troubling expression of the inner voice emerges in obsessive-compulsive disorder, where the mind generates what are referred to as ego-dystonic, intrusive thoughts. These are verbal snippets or phrases that starkly contrast with the individual's genuine character, values, and desires. A devoted parent may experience an unexpected internal voice suggesting harm to their child, while a deeply spiritual individual might encounter a sacrilegious thought. The essential difference in this scenario lies in the fact that the inner voice is not a product of hallucination. The individual recognizes it as a thought, yet it carries the sensation of an unwelcome intrusion. The anguish arises from a cognitive error known as thought-action fusion, wherein the mind erroneously equates the act of thinking a statement with the act of vocalizing it or carrying out the action itself. The inner voice transforms into a wellspring of profound guilt, compelling the individual to partake in ritualistic actions to negate the errant words. This indicates that we frequently grant our inner voice excessive power. The mere act of the mind articulating a sentence does not guarantee its truth, nor does it necessarily convey the true intentions of the thinker. For individuals grappling with eating disorders, the inner voice frequently fractures into a duality, transforming into a separate, externalized persona that operates akin to a harsh coach or a tyrant. Patients often depict this anorexic voice as distinct from their own sense of self, a detached and rational commentator that continuously critiques food, body size, and self-esteem. It presents a commanding presence, delivering orders instead of mere recommendations, frequently assuring security or dominance in return for compliance. Functional MRI scans have revealed that when patients interact with this particular critical voice, distinct regions of the brain light up, in contrast to when they are involved in typical self-reflection. The brain engages with this voice as though it were conversing with another individual. This internal entity flourishes in solitude. As the individual heeds the voice's directives to retreat from social gatherings and friendships, the voice grows increasingly powerful and assertive, occupying the void that once held the warmth of social interaction. It serves as a striking illustration of how the inner dialogue can become detrimental, wielding the instrument of language against the very being that contains it. Deep trauma can disrupt the flow of the inner voice, diminishing its role as the narrator of our experiences. Typically, the inner narrator arranges experiences along a linear timeline, encompassing a beginning, a middle, and an end, thereby anchoring memories securely in the past. Yet, in the flashbacks linked to post-traumatic stress disorder, this narrative function falters. Brain scans of individuals revisiting a traumatic event reveal a notable shutdown in Broca's area, the region of the brain responsible for producing speech, whether internal or external. This results in a condition characterized by an overwhelming sense of fear that leaves one utterly speechless. As the inner voice quiets or splinters, the mind struggles to label the memory as an event from the past. Rather, the memory unfolds as an immediate experience of vivid sensation and imagery in the present moment. The healing journey frequently entails gradually awakening the inner voice, assisting the survivor in articulating the experience, thus returning the memory to the storyteller who can ultimately place it in the annals of history. On the opposite side lies the inner voice experienced during manic episodes, frequently observed in bipolar disorder, where the internal dialogue speeds up into what professionals refer to as a flight of ideas. The pace of internal dialogue accelerates to such an extent that the mouth struggles to keep up, resulting in pressured speech, while the internal experience remains tumultuous. The links among thoughts cease to follow a logical path and instead are propelled by sound, a phenomenon known as clang associations. The inner voice may leap from blue to shoe to flew away, gliding on the sounds of words rather than their significance. It generates a tumult in the mind's ear, evoking the feeling of numerous television channels flickering through at a swift pace. It signifies an excess within the mind's gentle echo loop, the part of working memory responsible for managing silent whisper within. The filter that typically tempers our thoughts to a manageable pace vanishes, allowing the listener to be swept away by a rush of unrestrained, rapid-fire language that is both exhilarating and draining simultaneously. Within the domain of dissociation and intricate identity frameworks, the inner voice questions the fundamental belief in a singular, cohesive self. For individuals with dissociative identity disorder, the headspace is not filled by a single voice, but resembles a gathering space with various unique contributors. These alters, or parts, frequently possess distinct internal voices, each characterized by unique vocabularies, tones, ages, and even accents. In contrast to hallucinations, these voices are typically acknowledged as originating from within, yet they are perceived as possessing their own distinct agency. One voice may manage the daily logistics, while another carries the weight of emotional pain, and they engage in an internal dialogue. This phenomenon indicates that the self we recognize is a creation of intertwined memory and consciousness. As the binding loosens, the silent whisper within functions begin to separate, unveiling the remarkable ability of the human mind to maintain multiple streams of consciousness at once, each accompanied by its own distinct monologue, unfolding alongside the others. Ultimately, the most effective approach to navigating a challenging inner voice, whether in therapy or daily life, is frequently not to suppress it, but to transform our connection with it. Methods such as acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, emphasize a technique known as cognitive diffusion. This entails taking a step back to observe the inner voice as an independent process, akin to a radio playing softly in the background, rather than considering it as the ultimate truth. Rather than dwelling on the notion of being a failure, the technique invites the listener to recognize the thought of feeling like a failure as just that, a thought they are observing. This subtle change in language establishes a protective space. It imparts to the mind that the voice is merely a biological occurrence, a flow of symbols and sounds, rather than an order that demands compliance. Visualizing the words of the inner voice as leaves drifting down a stream or clouds moving across the sky diminishes the emotional weight of the chatter. It becomes clear that one is not merely the voice. Rather, one embodies the quiet, expansive awareness that perceives the voice. This realization brings forth a deep sense of tranquility and liberation of the mind. One of the most intriguing findings regarding the management of this internal dialogue pertains to a psychological phenomenon called iliasm, which involves the act of speaking about oneself in the third person. Engaging in self-talk by using one's own name may appear to be the quirk of a peculiar figure in a story, yet findings from the University of Michigan indicate that it serves as a significant mental strategy for managing emotions. When one engages in their usual inner monologue using the first person, such as pondering, "Why am I so worried?" they activate the brain's self-referential processing centers, which can ensnare them in a subjective, emotional loop. Yet, merely changing the pronoun and questioning why David feels such concern introduces a psychological idea known as self-distancing. This subtle change in language compels your mind to adopt a different viewpoint, allowing you to see your challenges through the lens of a friend's experience instead of your own. Research indicates that this subtle adjustment in one's internal dialogue markedly diminishes activity in the amygdala, the brain's center for fear, enabling individuals to offer themselves more insightful and constructive guidance, thereby circumventing the anxiety that frequently obscures a personal viewpoint. Expanding on this idea of viewpoint, one's inner voice has the remarkable capacity to engage in a form of temporal distancing, a mental journey through time that can swiftly alleviate present anxieties. This entails envisioning your inner storyteller as it gazes into the future, reflecting on the present moment, and pondering how you might perceive this particular concern in a year or perhaps even a decade from now. By doing this, one is not merely tapping into imagination, rather, one is activating the prefrontal cortex to counteract the urgent signals emitted by the limbic system. Psychologists have discovered that this particular form of inner dialogue diminishes the severity of present stressors by framing them as transient and limited in nature. When the tense of silent whisper within shifts from the urgent present to to the reflective future, a transformation occurs in the body's biological response. Blood pressure and heart rate decrease, allowing a chaotic inner crisis to become a manageable, fleeting memory even before it has fully unfolded. In addition to altering time and perspective, the particular emotional language employed by one's inner voice has the power to transform the body's reaction to stress, a phenomenon known as anxiety reappraisal. Many individuals attempt to harness their inner voice for tranquility by repeating, "I am calm." Yet, from a physiological perspective, anxiety represents a heightened state of arousal, while calmness signifies a lower state of arousal. The chasm in their biochemical makeup frequently proves too vast for the mind to span in an instant. Rather, studies indicate that employing your inner voice to identify the emotion as excitement can be beneficial. Given that anxiety and excitement share similarities in heart rate and cortisol levels, differing primarily in the mind's perception of the situation as either a threat or an opportunity, reframing your thoughts to say, "I am excited," harmonizes with your body's existing energy while transforming the emotional context. This technique, frequently employed by public speakers and athletes, taps into the strength of the inner voice to guide the body's inherent energy instead of resisting it, transforming nervous trembling into a state of focused readiness. The intricate control over the inner voice influences our processing of the written word, particularly through the phenomenon of hidden throat murmur while reading. Though many perceive the inner voice as an obstacle to speed reading, compelling us to mentally articulate each word at a leisurely rhythm, it serves as an essential instrument for profound understanding and connection with others. As one delves into a novel, the dialogue of the characters resonates, prompting the mind to recreate those social exchanges as though they were genuine, activating the same neural pathways employed in real-life human connections. Striving to entirely suppress this hidden throat murmur in order to enhance reading speed frequently leads to a diminished appreciation of the subtleties and emotional resonance within the text. Advanced readers develop the ability to adjust their inner voice, lowering it to quickly absorb informational text where only the facts are necessary, and raising it for poetry or fiction, enabling the inner voice to bring the text to life with rhythm, tone, and emotional depth that visual reading alone cannot capture. Enhancing our comprehension of how to calm the mind leads us to the soft drift of thoughts, a collection of interconnected brain regions that are at their peak activity when we are simply reflecting on ourselves. This network serves as the biological sanctuary for the restless mind and the incessant thoughts that disturb your sleep at night. Intriguing neuroimaging studies of long-term meditators show that regular practice not only calms the mind, but also brings about physical changes in the functional connectivity of this network. For someone well-versed in meditation, the brain's resting state presents a distinct quality. The relationship between the selfing centers of the brain and the bodily sensation centers shifts, enabling them to perceive the inner voice as a fleeting cloud instead of a tempest they are trapped within. This implies that achieving a tranquil mind is not merely a result of genetic predisposition, but rather a skill that can be cultivated, allowing one to consciously modulate the intensity of their inner dialogue through the very structure of the brain. In moments of complete silence, does the inner voice initially rise in volume, or does it gradually quiet itself over time? We invite you to share your experiences in the comments section. A compelling method for utilizing this voice is a technique known as naming to soothe emotion, succinctly captured by the phrase, "Name it to tame it." In moments of intense, undefined emotion, the amygdala, often referred to as the brain's alarm system, becomes significantly active. Yet, when one employs their inner voice to label a particular emotion, such as identifying it as anger or disappointment, there is a notable reduction in activity within the amygdala. The reason for this lies in the necessity of engaging the right ventral lateral prefrontal cortex, a region of the brain that plays a crucial role in inhibiting behavior and processing language. By compelling the brain to transform raw emotional data into linguistic expressions, you are actively redirecting neural energy from the emotional centers to the logical centers. The inner voice serves as a connection, transporting the tumultuous energy of emotion into the structured domain of language, thereby calming the intensity of the feeling through mere recognition. On the other hand, trying to suppress the inner voice can result in the white bear problem, a psychological irony derived from a well-known experiment in which participants were instructed not to think about a white bear. Research on thought suppression shows that when one instructs their inner voice to cease thinking about a particular subject, a part of the brain must, paradoxically, continuously oversee those thoughts to guarantee that they are not dwelling on it. This monitoring process maintains the forbidden thought in a state of readiness, leading it to resurface with increased frequency the instant your attention drifts. This is why reassuring oneself not to worry frequently results in increased anxiety. The most effective way to harness the voice in these moments is not through suppression, but by substitution, assigning the inner voice a new neutral task to engage in, rather than allowing a void that the mind feels driven to fill with the very thought you are attempting to evade. One of the most unexpected methods to fill this void and silence the inner dialogue is through a technique known as chewing to calm the voice. The inner voice, dependent on the mind's gentle echo loop, the segment of working memory responsible for verbal information, operates within a constrained capacity. The brain faces a significant challenge in generating an inner monologue while also handling another verbal task. This explains how the repetition of a mantra, the act of counting backwards, or even the simple motion of chewing gum can quiet the inner voice. Research indicates that the motor signals dispatched to the jaw and tongue while chewing can disrupt the hidden throat murmur process, effectively obstructing the flow of repetitive thoughts. By engaging with the machinery of speech, even in silence, one can halt the mind's gentle echo loop from spiraling into anxiety, offering a mechanical pause for an unbridled mind. The shift from thought to written word presents a significant opportunity to engage with the inner voice, effectively decelerating its pace to match the rhythm of your hand. The inner voice has the capacity to articulate thoughts at an astonishing rate of 4,000 words per minute, often resulting in bursts of abstract ideas. This rapid flow can lead to a cycle of looping and catastrophic thinking, as concepts collide before they have the chance to be fully understood. Nevertheless, handwriting compels the brain to decelerate to approximately 30 or 40 words per minute. This significant slowdown compels the inner voice to organize itself, guaranteeing that a thought is entirely developed, sequential, and logical before it can be expressed outwardly. This explains why journaling is frequently recommended for those dealing with anxiety. It transcends mere venting. It compels the inner narrator to transition from a frenzied, hasty transmission to a measured, intentional narration. This shift naturally brings order to the mind and uncovers solutions that were obscured by the rush of mental noise. At last, we reach the internal application of the Socratic method, a fundamental aspect of cognitive behavioral therapy that shifts the inner voice from that of a critic to that of a scientist. Frequently, the inner dialogue runs on preset beliefs, suggesting that this will end poorly or that they harbor dislike for us, as though these notions were undeniable truths. By guiding the inner voice to pose questions grounded in evidence, such as, what proof do I possess for this thought? Alternatively, could there be another explanation? One engages the rational mind to break down emotional responses. This is not a matter of positive thinking or self-deception. It is about truthfulness. As time passes, this practice transforms the instinctive quality of the inner voice. Rather than passively embracing a negative premise, the inner dialogue transforms into a discerning filter, assessing the truth of thoughts before they can influence our emotional well-being, thereby converting the inner voice into a protector instead of a foe. As one expands their perspective to examine the inner voice through a cross-cultural lens, it becomes evident that the very framework of one's internal dialogue is influenced by the societal context of their upbringing. Psychologists have discovered that people from Western individualistic cultures often perceive their inner voice as a singular, confident narrator, a central figure steering the course of their life narrative. In contrast, individuals from collectivist cultures, especially in East Asia, frequently describe their inner dialogue as more multifaceted, filled with the internalized voices of family, friends, and societal norms. Within these minds, the inner dialogue transforms from a solitary monologue into a dynamic conference, where the self is shaped and redefined through the imagined viewpoints of others. This implies that the voice you perceive in your mind is not merely a biological certainty, but rather a product of the culture surrounding you. It serves as a space for you to rehearse your role within your community, demonstrating that even in the most intimate corners of your thoughts, solitude is an illusion. The cultural shaping of the inner voice runs so deep that it fundamentally changes the nature of our most profound psychological experiences, influencing even our perception of the mind's boundaries. Remarkable anthropological research, led by Stanford professor Tanya Luhrmann, examined how individuals with schizophrenia experience auditory hallucinations across various cultures, unveiling a striking contrast in the personalities of the voices they encounter. In the United States, individuals frequently characterize their experiences of hearing voices as aggressive, malicious, and unwelcome, mirroring a societal emphasis on privacy and the perception of the mind as a stronghold that has been invaded. Conversely, those in Ghana and India tended to depict their auditory experiences as more light-hearted or as the reassuring guidance of family and ancestors. This suggests that the manner in which one engages with their inner voice, whether perceiving it as a supportive guide or a relentless critic, is a learned response, a narrative shaped by cultural influences that dictates whether one's internal landscape resembles a refuge or a conflict zone. For individuals fluent in multiple languages, the inner voice serves as a mechanism for managing emotions, adept at shifting gears to modify the strength of a thought. This phenomenon is recognized as the second tongue softens shadows, where contemplating a challenging decision in a second non-native language can alter the results of one's moral reasoning. As the native language connects to the profound, unfiltered feelings of youth and instinct, the inner voice in that language emerges with intensity and immediacy. Yet, when one transitions their internal dialogue to a language acquired through study, the mind engages with the words in a manner that introduces a sense of detachment and rationality, circumventing the emotional hubs. Research indicates that individuals tend to make more rational, utilitarian choices when they silently narrate the problem in a foreign language. This linguistic shift helps to diminish their anxiety and fear, enabling them to think with a clarity that their native inner voice might not allow. Yet, the inner voice does not require sound to manifest, as illustrated by the intriguing internal experiences found within the deaf community. For individuals who are born profoundly deaf and rely on sign language as their main means of communication, the inner voice manifests not as a sequence of imagined sounds, but rather as a visual spatial loop of internal signing. Research utilizing fMRI scans uncovers that when a deaf individual participates in inner self-talk, their brain activates the same language centers as a hearing person. Additionally, it engages the visual cortex, allowing them to visualize themselves or others, signing their thoughts in their mind's eye. This fosters a rich internal dialogue where thoughts take on form, motion, and spatial connections instead of relying solely on sound or tone. It demonstrates the profound human urge to narrate our lives, compelling the mind to utilize any sensory system at its disposal, whether auditory or visual, to weave a continuous flow of consciousness. History reveals that the manner in which we engage with this inner voice has undergone significant transformation throughout the ages, particularly during the shift from reading aloud to reading silently. Prior to the Middle Ages, the act of reading was predominantly a shared oral experience among groups. Words were crafted to be voiced for comprehension, and the notion of reading in silence was viewed as peculiar and uncommon. In a renowned excerpt from his Confessions, Street, Augustine conveys his profound astonishment as he witnesses Street, Ambrose reading in the 4th century. He notes, with disbelief, that while Ambrose's eyes moved across the text and his heart delved into its significance, his voice remained quiet and his tongue was motionless. As silent reading emerged as a common practice throughout the ages, it transformed the human brain, shifting the inner voice from a preparation for public speaking to a personal refuge for private contemplation. This shift facilitated the evolution of intricate inner lives and the contemporary understanding of a private self, hidden from the view of others. This historical shift towards a private, silent interior world gave rise to what some philosophers refer to as the narrative self. However, it is important to recognize that not everyone experiences a continuous storytelling inner voice. The philosopher Galen Strawson makes a distinction between two types of individuals: diachronics, who perceive their identity as a continuous character on a journey from the past into the future, and episodics, who view life as a collection of distinct, intense moments, with minimal connection between their past selves and their present selves. In episodics, the inner voice refrains from weaving an extensive narrative. Instead, it offers insights solely on the current moment, free from the obligation of upholding a continuous plot. This calls into question the belief that a sound mind requires a unified story. For many, the inner voice resembles not a novelist crafting a cohesive narrative, but rather a collection of brief, disjointed verses, discovering tranquility in the disarray rather than in a seamless flow. A theory exists that posits this internal narrator was initially viewed not as the self, but rather as the voice of the gods, a notion introduced by Julian Jaynes, known as the ancient echo of gods. Jaynes posited that early human ancestors, before the emergence of modern consciousness around 3,000 years ago, lacked an inner monologue that they identified as their own thoughts. Instead, they encountered auditory hallucinations produced by the right hemisphere of the brain, which the left hemisphere interpreted as external directives from deities or rulers. Through the examination of ancient texts such as the Iliad, Jaynes highlighted that the characters lack introspection and do not engage in decision-making through internal conflict. Rather, they follow the unexpected directives of deities who materialize and communicate. Though it stirs debate, the theory emphasizes that the incorporation of the inner voice, as self, is probably a developed cognitive advancement, a delicate merging of the brain's two hemispheres that enables us to claim our thoughts instead of merely following them. In the contemporary quest to comprehend this internal commander, a particular neurological condition has come to light, an endophagia, which describes individuals devoid of any internal monologue. In contrast to those who possess a tranquil mind and can evoke a voice at will, individuals with an endophagia navigate a realm of unadulterated, unsymbolized thought, engaging with intricate logic, mathematics, and memories without ever experiencing an internal dialogue. Recent experiments in 2024 revealed that while these individuals excel in logic puzzles, they face considerable challenges with verbal memory tasks, such as recalling a list of rhyming words, due to their inability to mentally hear the rhymes needed to secure them in memory. This implies that the inner voice serves as an auditory adhesive, a mental notepad that keeps verbal information organized as we engage with it, and in its absence, the mind is left to depend solely on abstract connections. For individuals with a constant inner dialogue, the nature of that dialogue is significantly shaped by the grammatical structure of their spoken language, particularly in its treatment of future concepts. Behavioral economists have discovered that individuals who speak futureless languages, such as Mandarin, where the present and future tenses are indistinguishable, expressing it "Rain tomorrow," instead of "it will rain," often possess an inner voice that perceives the future as urgent and close at hand. This perception is associated with increased savings rates and improved health behaviors. Conversely, individuals who speak languages that distinctly differentiate the future from the present tend to perceive their future selves as unfamiliar, as if they are another person capable of addressing challenges at a later time. This concept of linguistic relativity suggests that the way you structure your thoughts influences your understanding of time, shaping your inner dialogue into either a procrastinator or a planner based on the verb tenses at your disposal. Ultimately, the aim of numerous ancient traditions and contemporary neuroscience is to comprehend the soft drift of thoughts, the brain system that drives the relentless murmur of the inner voice when attention is not directed toward a particular task. When this network is overactive, it leads to endless soft loop and anxiety, creating a restless mind that flits from one worry to another. However, research on long-term meditators indicates that it is possible to make lasting changes to the function of this network, enabling the inner voice to be silenced at will. This state of chosen silence, where one is fully conscious yet devoid of verbal thought, unveils the understanding that the voice serves merely as a tool for the thinker, a realization that leads us to a deep sense of tranquility. As you reflect on these facts, in the stillness of the night, consider how you would characterize the tone of your own inner voice at this moment. Is it a swift storyteller, or a gentle, watchful presence? The exploration of the mind uncovers that silence, transcends mere absence of sound. It emerges as a unique neurological phenomenon, a moment of clarity on the stage of thought. Deep within the philosophy of mind, a concept emerges, known as the hard problem of consciousness, which inquires into why the physical firing of neurons in the brain should evoke any sensation at all, particularly the unique experience of hearing a voice. As one engages with their inner monologue, they encounter what philosophers refer to as qualia, the unique and subjective quality of experience that eludes complete explanation through the mere mapping of brain circuits. Although neuroscientists can identify the activation of Broca's area or the suppression of the auditory cortex, they remain unable to clarify why these electrical signals produce the elusive personal experience of sound in the absence of any actual noise. This mystery implies that the inner voice transcends mere data processing, serving as a core element of consciousness, revealing itself to its own awareness. Some theories suggest that this internal sound serves as the brain's method of crafting a user interface for its intricate workings, transforming raw information processing into a coherent narrative that the conscious observer can grasp and engage with, thereby producing the illusion of a conductor guiding an orchestra of neurons. This sparks a vigorous discussion within cognitive science about the necessity of language for intricate thought processes, or whether the inner voice simply serves as a translator for more profound, unspoken calculations. For a considerable period, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis proposed that the language one speaks shapes the thoughts one can conceive, suggesting that without an internal dialogue structured in English, Spanish, or Japanese, the ability to contemplate intricate ideas would be hindered. Nevertheless, contemporary studies on unsymbolized thinking contest this notion, uncovering that numerous individuals possess vivid, defined thoughts devoid of any associated words or images. A sudden realization may wash over you, an intricate grasp of cause and effect emerging, all without the need to articulate the thought, "I left the stove on." This implies that the inner voice frequently represents merely the surface of a deeper reality, serving as a retrospective justification that assigns words to thoughts that have already transpired in the swift, unspoken realms of the mind, essentially recounting a story that has already unfolded. One of the most unsettling theories regarding this narration emerges from split brain research, which led to the development of the concept of the left brain interpreter. During the mid-20th century, it was revealed by neuroscientists that when the link between the two hemispheres of the brain is cut, they are capable of functioning on their own. In experiments where the non-verbal right brain received a command to stand up, the patient complied and stood. When questioned about their decision to stand, the analytical left brain, unaware of the true motivation behind the action, would swiftly conjure an explanation through its inner dialogue, like, "I wanted to stretch my legs." This suggests that a crucial role of your inner voice is not to guide decisions, but rather to weave a cohesive narrative that rationalizes your actions once they have been executed. It implies that a significant portion of what you perceive as logical reasoning is in fact your inner narrator, working diligently to interpret subconscious impulses, crafting a narrative of coherence to persuade you that you are a rational being steering your own fate. As the journey unfolds from biological enigmas to technological horizons, it becomes evident that the hidden whispers of the mind are poised to be unveiled by brain-computer interfaces. Researchers at MIT and NASA have created silent speech interfaces capable of interpreting the inner voice by capturing the delicate neuromuscular signals transmitted from the brain to the jaw and throat. Even in silence, the mind orchestrates a symphony of thoughts, directing the vocal cords to shape the words that linger within, a captivating process known as hidden throat murmur. With electrodes strategically positioned along the jawline, these devices intercept signals and translate them into text or synthesized speech, with impressive precision, enabling a computer to perceive the words being formed in one's mind. This technology is being developed to assist individuals who can no longer speak, yet it simultaneously unveils a complex dilemma concerning mental privacy, merging the last frontier between our intimate inner experiences and the shared external world. The emergence of this technology compels society to grapple with the ethical ramifications surrounding mental privacy, raising the question of whether the inner voice remains the final bastion of individuality. At present, the legal and social frameworks surrounding privacy focus on actions, written communication, and spoken dialogue, while the inner thoughts of individuals have long been regarded as beyond reach. Should future neurotechnology enable the remote decoding of hidden throat murmur or semantic thought, it would profoundly transform the human experience, rendering the private contemplation of ideas, hidden critiques, or personal musings vulnerable to observation. This possible reality raises a deep inquiry into the essence of solitude and security. Imagine a world where technology could reveal your inner thoughts to others or to a device. How might this shift your self-talk in the private sanctuary of your mind? And would one feel the need to censor their own thoughts before they even took shape? This potential exposure is daunting, as for many individuals, the inner voice serves as the fundamental framework of identity, shaping what philosopher Daniel Dennett refers to as the center of narrative gravity. It is commonly thought that there exists a distinct self within our minds, responsible for our thoughts. However, numerous cognitive scientists contend that this self is, in fact, a creation of the narrative being conveyed by that inner voice. The inner voice weaves together memories from the past, experiences from the present, and visions of the future into a seamless timeline, crafting the perception that the person you were 5 years ago is the same as the person you are today. In the absence of this narrative thread weaving through the background, human consciousness could resemble a collection of fragmented, fleeting moments instead of a cohesive existence. From this perspective, you are not the creator of the voice. Rather, you are the character shaped by it, an entity maintained by the continuous narrative crafted by the brain's language centers. One must also take into account the quietude of other minds, particularly the persistent discussion surrounding the question of whether animals have any semblance of an inner voice or experience. Although animals undoubtedly possess the ability to think, feel, and solve problems, it is probable that they do not engage in a linguistic inner dialogue due to the absence of the intricate grammatical frameworks found in human language. Nevertheless, prominent experts in animal cognition speculate that intelligent creatures such as corvids, cetaceans, and primates might have a sensory inner voice, processing thoughts through sequences of auditory memories, scents, and visual recollections instead of relying on words. A dog may not consciously think the owner is home, but it could instinctively respond to the distinct sound of the car door slamming, accompanied by a surge of excitement. This implies that the inner voice represents merely one evolutionary variation of internal simulation, while the animal kingdom brims with vibrant, non-verbal internal realms that are equally vivid and influential as our language-driven streams of consciousness. When the brain's ability to differentiate between internal simulations and external reality falters, we witness the occurrence of auditory hallucinations, highlighting the delicate nature of the inner voice's neurology. In a well-functioning state, the brain assigns a distinct neural signature to internal speech, indicating ownership with a message that says, "I produced this," enabling recognition of the voice as one's own. This process is referred to as source monitoring. Investigations into schizophrenia and psychosis reveal that these disorders frequently entail a breakdown in this particular tagging system. The individual continues to produce inner dialogue, yet the mind struggles to anticipate and recognize the sound, leading the conscious awareness to interpret it as originating from an outside source. This indicates that the sense of ownership regarding one's inner voice is an ongoing biological process, rather than an inherent truth. The mind tirelessly strives to affirm that the inner voice is indeed your own. On the other hand, there are conditions in which the aim is to deliberately silence this inner dialogue to reach optimal performance, commonly known as flow states, or in Zen Buddhism, as motion or no mind. High-level athletes, jazz musicians, and surgeons frequently share that in the midst of their most intricate and flawless performances, their inner voice falls entirely silent. Neuroimaging studies of individuals experiencing these flow states reveal a phenomenon known as hypofrontality, in which the prefrontal cortex, responsible for self-monitoring and analytical chatter, temporarily downregulates. This quietude enables the brain's implicit muscle memory systems to perform intricate tasks with a swiftness that verbal thought would merely obstruct. The human mind presents a beautiful irony. The inner voice serves as our instrument for planning and learning. Yet, our true mastery often reveals itself when we succeed in silencing the narrator and fully immerse ourselves in the experience. Ultimately, the presence of the voice within one's mind stands as one of the most remarkable achievements of evolution, a unique trait that enables humans to transcend the constraints of the present moment. Distinct from any other known being, the inner voice grants the ability to journey through time, revisiting lessons from the past to secure survival, or envisioning potential threats of the future without the need to confront them directly. This mechanism of survival has enabled humanity to explore ideas, engage in social dynamics, and construct societies, all within the protective confines of our minds before taking any action. This voice serves as a steadfast observer of your journey, transforming the mere act of living into a narrative filled with depth and meaning. Whether it acts as a spiritual guide, a stern evaluator, a source of distraction, or a whimsical bard, as that last reflection finds its place in the stillness of your thoughts, keep in mind that you have the power to enrich this inner realm with soothing wisdom each evening. If this exploration of the mind resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel for more soothing educational journeys designed to guide you into a peaceful slumber. And then, we quietly listen together to that whisper, a voice no one else can hear but you, yet it belongs to your closest friend, the one who has been with you through every sorrow, every joy, every sleepless night. Thank you. Truly thank you for being here tonight, for opening your heart to step into this little corner of your soul with me. Sleep Science Top 1 is more than just science stories. This is where I offer you a little peace, a little gentleness, a little comfort whenever you need a companion who won't judge or leave. If tonight the whispers within you are a little gentler, a little warmer, please give me a small like a gentle hug, Subscribe so I can continue to be with you on future nights, and if possible, whisper in the comments something tiny you felt from my inner voice today. Just one line, but who knows, it might be a small light guiding someone lost back here. Now, let your breath slow down. Let all worries fade away like mist. And let tonight gently embrace you, just as those whispers are always with you, even when you forget they're there. Sleep well. I'll wait for you here, every night.